Hello and welcome to episode 36 of Fables from the Pickled Quipper. Let's head back to Badgerdown.
Liz, with your
Yes.
12 pages of notes, would you like to do a recap of last week?
Sure, I can quickly
Summarize.
scan down my notes. Most of these notes are obviously pretty much just from Claire's point of view. So I don't have anything that happened in Silvarius and Bardor's bedroom encounter.
Fair enough. We'll let that chime in at that point.
We've got to edit that out anyway. It's too graphic.
It bumps our family-friendly rating too high.
Yep.
We all woke up in the morning and our clothes were returned to us, and we all trooped down to breakfast, and we went to go meet the conclave, 8 tables, occupied by the town officials. There is a drow present. He suggested that maybe at some point we come to the guardhouse and help train up the new guards. They did mention that they tried to contract the Red Fangs to help them, but they never showed up. Cosette did mention, though, that Rolliver did contract us to go help with the problem. Cosette divulges our spying eye issue, and they say maybe they can help us with some items. They do give us a pair of goggles that lets you see in the dark. They tell us that the Hand of Aegis will go down in their history books and we will always have a place with them. And then we left to go to the market right outside.
Alrighty. In that case, I think we're ready to go back to Badgerdown. The 5 of you exit the meeting house, as it is known. As soon as you come out the doors again, the persistent thrumming just picks up a little bit. Seems like they've done a pretty good job in some buildings of soundproofing to an extent to reduce the impact of that beat. You haven't yet been to any of the actual sort of main workplaces like the forge or anything like that. But you would imagine that it's actually probably not reduced there deliberately because it's kind of the whole point of it. And yeah, you exit and then you're basically immediately in the sort of the market area. There's a semicircle of stalls on either side of you. From memory, that on the right now, as you look at it, are raw materials, and on the left are sort of like worked and finished goods. And you see a number of traders, merchants, so on, behind these various different booths. You are free to explore as you see fit.
Does Llewellyn see us?
Yeah, he waved at you on the way in. He doesn't appear to have noticed you yet, as you emerge back out.
Okay, well, I will just kind of keep my head down. Just ew.
Make a stealth check with disadvantage.
16.
Okay. So, Bardor, you sort of slip behind Silvarius, basically keeping him on your left, and just sort of hiding in his shadow, essentially. And as you sort of walk out of the doors and you kind of come into this middle portion where everything sort of opens up on either side of you, you feel like you're pretty well concealed, and you hear off to your left, "Oh, Eska, is your dwarf friend with you too?"
I've changed my mind. I'm going to hide. No.
Okay, interesting.
No, it's okay.
And the rest of you see this.
Do I notice Bardor specifically trying to hide?
I mean, I'm not it's more of me just keeping the head down and kind of turning the back away more
he's
than
not sort of acknowledging, and he's just sort of keeping Silvarius between him and Llewellyn.
Okay. In that
sounds
case,
about
I
right.
say, oh, yes, it's right here. Get out the way, Silvarius. Here, you see?
Hi.
And he says, Come! Look, I have things for you.
Okay. So, guess I'll go over and give Eska the normal way I look at Eska.
Okay. And so in front of Llewellyn, you see a booth, and he seems to specialize in the manufacturing of tools. Pretty much everything that you could need to do most things in front of you. In one section, there's a collection of like a small hammer and chisel, and a plane, not a plane, but like a wood carving plane, like a little sandpaper type equivalent, clustered together. And then next to that, there's some rolls of parchment and a bottle of ink and like a compass. Not no now. Okay, hold on. I should clarify. This is like the not the wayfinding compass, but the other compass.
Like a
Do
navigator's
you guys call that a
compass.
compass in America?
Want to draw
Yes.
a circle? Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
It's just one of those things that's never come up in the 12 years I've been here.
American compasses.
That wasn't
draw
on your
circles.
test?
No, that one wasn't on the test. Another section that's got like magnifying glasses, little cloths, sort of delicate tweezers and stuff like that, that Eska you would recognize as suitable for jewelry work, that sort of thing. You're seeing essentially pretty much any type of artisan tool that you would find in the PHB is available at Llewellyn's booth here. And he says, "So, you look well rested, I hope. Can I interest you in any of these fine tools here made by all of the various craftsmen here in town?" And he sort of eyes you up, trying to decide what might be good for you, and just picks up a small metal hammer that and a metal chisel as well, and sort of like holds them out to Bardor. Says, these very good for stoneworking. I hear from Carrick that these are good for getting through the particularly hard stones. And just goes into like a used car salesman
Right.
feel.
Does I mean I do already have some mason's tools. Does this look like anything like better or different than what I might already have?
Probably on a par. Not necessarily better, but they look nice, well crafted. And you do actually see there is some sort of scroll work on both the hammer and the chisel. They're slightly nicely ornamented. Looks like probably elven crafting, which is a little surprising here.
Right.
But there again, that there's it's kind of all sorts around. So while Bardor's sort of perusing the tools, what does anyone else want to do?
Claire would also like to browse the tools.
Okay.
Specifically looking for a brewer's kit.
Okay. Yeah, easy enough to find. Gnomes, quite fan of their tipple. And you see something that looks suitable for a brewer's kit. There's a little metal tripod, and some various different glassware, and it's actually once he kind of sees you looking at it, he says, now I know what you're thinking. Going into the wild with these glass is just gonna break everywhere. Cut me, cut my friends. No. And he reaches underneath and he says, for just 2 gold more. And he brings out this nice little chest. And it's sort of like padded with some sort of it looks like basically they've created a nice little box that you can just put everything in, and it's padded everything so that the glassware will be safe, because you need all sorts of weird and wonderful little things for this. And it's the chest is probably about yay big, so it's not inconsequential. But then these are it's just eyeing up the stuff here. You would guess between the metalware and the glass, there's probably several pounds of stuff that's going into this before you then put it into the chest. So it's probably going to weigh a good, 15 pounds. So there's a lot of stuff here that you can then use to brew with. And he says, so Lady Dwarf, you like the look of this, with the case, of course, for safety.
Claire, being very fond of her already special case. Looks very excited. And yes, I hadn't actually thought about the fact that the glass might break while I was carrying it. That looks lovely.
You know, we think of everything here. We try to keep your stuff safe. Although, if it breaks, you know where we are.
How much would the whole set be?
Normally I probably charge 25 gold for all of this together, but we know who you are, so I give you a discount. Let's say 20 gold including the case.
She kind of just bites her lip and then holds up a finger and just says, one second. And she scurries over to Cosette and tugs on the edge of her sleeve and whispers to her, Cosette, do you think I could have a little bit out of the group fund?
And as you see this, he's sort of packing everything up nicely into the box for you. Because he knows this is going well. He's happy.
Yeah, she turns around and she's looking at stuff, on the table and picking up quills and stuff, different tools and stuff. And she's like, yeah, of course. We've been waiting forever to go shopping. How much do you need? So she just kind of pulls out, she's very excited to enable this shopping adventure. Yeah, she just pulls out 50 gold and just hands it to her.
Claire,
She doesn't care that if the guys are watching or anybody else.
Claire also doesn't even really count it. She's just so excited. She just, goes, thank you, and then scurries back over to Llewellyn and, hands him 20 gold. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. You have done us a great service. Least we can do is give to you good things at good prices.
And she looks absolutely delighted with her new box of supplies.
And it does have on the back of it, there's buckles and stuff that would let you sort of attach it to other gear that you have. So it'll be once you figure out exactly how everything needs to kind of lay out around your belt or whatever, you should be able to have it sort of relatively accessible.
For now, she is clasping it happily to her chest.
Fair enough.
Cosette's looking at do they have any quills, parchment, inks, wax, that sort of thing for calligraphy / maybe some items that would go into a forgery kit.
Yeah.
They're two separate items, so.
Yeah, I mean, and there's definitely going to be some crossover between those. The Calligraphers Supplies, there's a small wooden case about a foot long by 4 inches, something like that. It's actually not a wood you recognize. It's dark, slightly swirled, but you sort of open it up, and inside you find there's a row of 10 different nibs, each one with a different end to the nib that would create a different style of effect on the paper, along with 2 or 3. I guess it would kind of be like a stylus. Ooh, is that styli? If it's a plural, styli. Stylus.
I don't know.
I don't know if it's Greek or Latin. Anyway, styluses. There's 3 of those that you can attach the nibs to. And then there's a lot of sort of little inkwells and stuff, and you can get ink in pretty much any color you want. But so the little box that would be from Llewellyn. And as you're sort of looking at that, after giving Claire some money, he says, you have a shrewd eye. Yes, this was crafted by... Well, actually, it was several gnomes' work in here. They each have a certain flair for types of nibs, and so they work together to create this set. I doubt you would find anything like this above, on the surface, unless, of course, it had already been sold from someone like myself and then being resold out on the surface. It is a particularly nice set. The nibs are all made of finely worked steel. Obviously, you're going to need ink for that. I suggest you go over and maybe see Rebel pop over there. She'll help you with that. And as you see, he sort of points over to a female rock gnome, a couple of booths over, who just sort of waves enthusiastically at you. Yeah.
No, this is beautiful. Yeah, I'll definitely take this. Does he have wax as well?
He does not have wax.
Okay. And she'll kind of look around and see if there's any like little small tools, because I know like the actual like writing and stuff. There's stuff like that, but maybe with some of the other tools, tool sets, because he has such a selection. Is there anything that would like allow me to like forge a wax seal, like kind of like metal tools that would allow you to like manipulate wax? In the book it says small tools to sculpt melted wax to mimic a seal. So he may not have like something specifically for that, but because he has so many other, like I'm thinking of like even like cook's utensils or like a jeweler's kit, something may have something similar.
Make an investigation check. See if you can find something suitable there.
22, natural 20. Does that help?
Why, yes, you can. So, looking at it, there's a couple of options.
Now, slaying a dragon, that's tough for me, but finding jewels, that's when my natural 20. That's when the 20s comes. When shopping, I'd like to point out.
You look at the various different things. There's what looks like, and it sort of has a little thing that says tinkering on it. Like there's a little card that just says tinkering, and there's all manner of interesting little metal tools in there that could easily be used to manipulate it. But there's also a lot more in there. You feel like that set would probably be overkill, essentially, because there's lots of like little, a whole array of like Allen keys or Allen wrenches, I guess you call them.
Yeah. Okay.
And like various different things for manipulating like clockwork and machinery and that sort of thing. So that would do, but it's probably overkill. You think that the jeweler's tools could be used for that purpose as well? Like even the cobbler's tools, you could probably make work because there are some things in there. Your concern is, so if you go for something like the cobbler's tools, it's probably not going to be as good because they don't have quite the same level of intricate like shapes and stuff as the say the jeweler's or tinker's tools.
She's gonna like point to like the pieces of them. Is there any way you could make me my own set? I know these are kits and you want to keep these together, but if I was to buy pieces of these.
Well, normally we try to sell as a whole. Make a persuasion check.
Oh, 10.
If you hadn't just saved the city, maybe we'd be having a different conversation. And he sort of asks you to point out which ones you want. You have a fair idea of what you're looking for. And he just grabs a little sort of velvet bag, with a little it's a dark velvet bag with a little gold drawstring. And he just sort of like hand picks out some of the items for you and says, "Okay, so let's say this." And you wanted the other the little box as well, the calligrapher.
Yes, please.
Okay, let's say 20 gold together.
Yeah, that's very fair. She does like reach in to go pull out gold, and then she remembers that she has all these gems. Are you able to possibly do a trade, or is there a better place to exchange gems? And she kind of pulls out some of the citrine gems, the like kind of smaller ones.
And what did I tell you those were? Because
Well, we
don't
got a
mind
range because I don't think we know exactly.
Oh,
The
I see.
citrine gems, I have 3 small ones in there between 15 and 30 gold a piece. So those are the ones she pulled out because she knows those are kind of in that same price range.
He says, I can take a look at that, and he sort of added on. He said, this would be a fair exchange. Yeah. You want to do one of these?
Yeah.
If you have more gems, you could go talk to Luthra, and he points over on the other side, on the raw resource side. And there's another rock gnome over there. And you can see from here, like, there's some sort of glistening happening sort of from her booth as the interesting lights, the sort of the weirdly sourced light strikes down onto her booth. She has more of the gems, so she would, if you have more and you want to sort of convert, you can, or at least get evaluations. I'm sure she would do that too.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
wait, is
a lot
that
of
who
places
had
will
the
accept gems. So
yeah? Is that who had the ink too?
No, that was Riddle Pop.
Okay.
So, Varys, what are you up to at the moment?
He was whilst they were kind of interacting with Llewellyn, he was just sort of looking at what was like on the table. And you said it was mostly populated with
For
tools,
him, yes.
And he's not very much a tool impassioned personality. He's just kind of standing around looking at the other nearby shops to get a feel of roughly what they are.
I mean, basically anything that you can find in the PHB is present in some way, shape, or form. You see some places just like storage. There's one booth that's, there's chests of different sizes and bags and backpacks and stuff like that. There's one place that appears to be just glassware, be it or like drinking ware, basically. So mugs, cups, tankards, flasks, steins, pretty much, in all shapes and sizes, various different materials. You see one place that appears to be a bit more sort of survival oriented. Looks like there's maybe some hunting traps, that sort of thing. There's another one that looks like it's maybe dealing with some sort of construction type stuff. You see like what looks like maybe a pulley type thing, climbing gear, and so like pittons and little rope. There's one place that appears to be sort of finished jewelry as well. It's right at the sort of the far end, not too far away actually from where the raw gems are. There's what looks to be finished jewelry. Yeah, you also see there's a fair amount of bronze work going on, which you haven't seen a lot of. There's a lot of bronze and copper involved in general, and there are some weapons as well. Not like there's not a huge collection of weapons, but there are some weapons at one of the booths. Some of which look a little different than you're used to.
Like highly different, more or less visually, or like.
I mean, if you want to go over and take a look.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would catch his eye for sure.
Okay. So you wander over and you see a even by gnome standards, a fairly short gnome who sort of sees you come over and says, "Hello, I am Glib. Welcome to my store." And he gestures in front, and he just kind of looks you over and says, "So, a warrior, you have come to the right place, friend. What takes your interest here?" And you sort of have a look, and you see lots of weapons that you're familiar with, although some maybe less favored weapons. So you see things like pikes and halberds. There's a really quite nice bronze-looking trident. Hanging from the top, you see something that's a little interesting. It appears to be a sword, but it's sort of fragmented. The blade is fragmented, and there is a like steel wire holding the pieces together.
Yeah. but
Which you have not seen anything like that before, I wouldn't think. There's also a couple of canes that are just propped up on the table. Some rather handy-dandy looking crossbows, one of which appears to have some sort of thing stuck on top of it. Like where the bolt should go, there's like a little something above it. It's like a box or something. And you also see a couple of sort of almost like a 2-in-1 type weapon where it's like at one end, like there's one at one end where it's like a mace at one end, and then you can spin it round, and at the other end it has an axe blade, for instance. There's a couple of different things like that where it's like a 2-in-1, depending on which way around you hold it, kind of deal.
So Varus is standing there as the shopkeeper's talking to him, and he has his arms crossed, and he's kind of noticing some of the items.
Your weapon designs are intriguing to me. Care to explain that and that?
And he gestures to the interlinked fragmented sword that you mentioned, and the crossbow with you said it was a box on the end.
Like on the like where the bolt should be. Yes. So he
on the rear or the
yes, at the back.
On the front. Okay.
So he reaches up and then realizes he can't, and so he gets a little step ladder and hops up and pulls down the sword, and just with a deft flick, it quickly sort of like links back up into a regular sized longsword. And he says, "So this is I don't have a good word for it in common, but it can be used to create interesting effects and confuse enemies in battle." And then he says, "You might wish to stand back a little." Without really giving you much of a chance, he does another little flick, and you see the blade sort of whip around, much like Ivy's does in Soul Calibur, and you see it sort of like whip out. Not quite as long as the one as Ivy's, in fairness, because that thing ends up being like 20 feet long at times. But you would estimate that it would sort of extend the reach of your longsword, probably as you whip it out. It would basically give you an extra 5 feet of reach, essentially. And then just sort of, he does a nice little display of sort of flicking it around and stuff, and looking kind of badass. And he says, "This is not a common item, but quite fun, and like I said, element of surprise." And he just
Not common. Not seen one before.
No, they are a specialty of one of the smiths here. He's not very keen on letting others know the secret of how it all works. Obviously, I have to know because I have to make it work. Otherwise, I cannot sell it. But yeah, it is. It's very. Well, it's fun. Would you care to try?
Most certainly.
Make an insight check first.
This thing is intriguing. 9.
Okay. So you kind of watching him as he did it, and you think you know how it works. Now make a dexterity check. Give it a flick.
The set steps back.
Oh.
Don't worry, I got this.
13.
Okay. And then make a basic attack roll. This would not be with proficiency, so I guess it would be just a regular strength roll.
18.
Okay. And what's your AC again?
Oh no. My shield is not on because I'm not prepared like that at a market.
Okay.
So 18.
So you give it a flick. Sure enough, the blade detaches as expected. Unfortunately, you gave it too heavy-handed a flick, and it starts to loop back at you and wedges in between a couple of chinks in your armor. You do deal yourself a little bit of damage. Hold on. What would it be? Four damage. As the blade slashes into the chinks, it sort of gets underneath the scales of your armor. On the plus side, you know it is an effective weapon now.
He grimaces like, and he's just there's a frustrated look on his face, and he chinks it out of his armor, and he kind of widens his stance to try it one more time.
Give me another dexterity roll.
Oh, even worse, 6.
Okay, so this time you think you understand it better, which technically did make the DC lower. Unfortunately, not 6. So you flick it again, and this time you narrowly avoid Glib's head, and it flicks out again, but you definitely do not feel in control of it. But you at least you have the action down of flicking it and making it extend, but there's no sort of finesse and control right now. But yeah, I mean you know it's your first time encountering this sort of thing, so it's understandable.
He's got a sort of a disappointed look on his face, and he goes to hand it back to Glib, and
Perhaps its design needs reworked.
And he just says, I spent 2 hours learning how to use that before I did it in public. Don't worry, it is an art form. Once you understand how to work it, though, then it operates. Once you understand its workings and you are practiced with it, then it is a useful tool. But I understand if it's not for you, that's fine. We can take a look at this crossbow instead.
Yes, let's.
So, crossbow looks like a standard light crossbow, with the exception of this little wooden case that's on top of the sort of the loading dock. And he says, "So, what this is? It is like a regular crossbow, but we made some adjustments." And he's sort of going like this as he says that. Like very what's his name? Mr. Burns. And he says, so and he reaches down and grabs a couple of bolts, and he says, so we just flick open like so, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, closes it. And he says, so if you are good at firing quickly, you can and he just sort of like turns behind him where he just has like a little target set up, and fires off very quickly 5 shots into the target. It is unusual for crossbow to be able to do this, obviously. It was, again, fine work by one of our engineers here, creating this system for being able to fire more rapidly. The reload process is made easier using this chamber on top. And then out of character, he says mechanically what this does is it essentially it effectively removes the reload ability. Basically, you can fire as many times as you have attacks
okay.
in a round. So still 1d8, just like a regular light crossbow. You still have to, you do have to load it. So it's, it can only hold 5 bolts at a time. So once you've used 5 bolts, you would then have to load it again. Like, let's say you did 2 attacks, and then 1 attack. You would then you'd have to use up that third one, would just be 1 shot and then reloading that turn, if that makes sense.
Hey, would a reload cost an attack action or like a part of the attack action?
Yeah, it
or
would
does take-
basically yes, it would take up let's say one of the attacks for that turn essentially. So range is 8320. It does require 2 hands to operate still, because you're still having to like arm it each time. It just drops the bolt in place for you, which allows the extra speed.
Yeah, you just got to pull the drawstring back.
Right. And you actually notice that looking at it, a lot of it's you don't have to manually pull the string itself. There's like a little slider that you pull that brings it back into place. It's very intricately worked combination of a wooden framework with sort of bronze and steel parts to sort of that manipulates it. So it's a lot more sophisticated than a crossbow you would have encountered.
Well, Glib, this most certainly intrigues me. How much for one?
Okay, so here's the thing. I understand that you are heroes of the city, so on and so forth. Nevertheless, I cannot part with this for less than 150 gold. Fine craftsmanship.
His face looks less excited.
You think on it? It'll still be here probably for the next hour or so. They don't stick around for very long, mind you. We don't have, it's not one I have in stock every day. So if someone buys one, then I have to wait, and someone has to make a new one, and so on and so forth. So don't take too long deciding.
Does he have anything bow-ish? Like just crossbows?
It seems to be mostly crossbows. And when you think about it, all of the guards on the gate you came through had crossbows aimed at you. You don't remember seeing any bows on anyone so far, just as you've been walking around. It definitely feels like this is just a crossbow kind of place.
So I'll kind of like not really push Savaris out of the way, and I'll be like 150, you say?
Yes?
All right, I'll take it.
I told you it might not last an hour.
No, it's certainly sold quick.
Until he's looking down at Bardur.
Yeah. So I'll hand over the 150, and then I'll turn around and I'll hand it to Sylvarius, and I'll be like, maybe you won't have to get so close.
He stares at it and holds his hand out and looks at you in the eyes and just kind of grabs it.
Before I let go, I pull it back in a little bit, and I was like, don't ever think I'm all about money, and then I just let it go.
Still hung up on that, are we?
And I just kind of huff at him, I like with a wry smile, not like I'm, I am a dwarf,
Yeah.
I am a dwarf, so. I'll tell him. You gotta figure out the bolts though.
And Glib just says, "Oh, I can help with that." And he just reaches down and pulls out like a huge, like, cluster of bolts, probably a couple of hundred, all stuck in this giant barrel that he has behind the booth.
I'll take whatever, like a small quiver would fit, I reckon.
Yeah. I think was it Quiver can only do 20.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. So yeah, you can get you can actually get he has a little case for 4 crossbow bolts because it's a little smaller than a quiver needs to be. And so the bolts plus the little bolt case say for 2 gold.
Well, you said a bolt case that only holds 4 bolts?
No, it holds 20.
Okay, yeah. I'll go ahead and get I'll take that and hand him 2 gold.
Alrighty. Eska, what are you up to at the moment?
Still hiding, apparently.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What I was up to was grabbing my tea from the other room.
I'm starting to wonder if he's just doing other stuff and he uses tea as
I know.
an excuse. It's always the excuse.
I mean, having lived with him, he does drink a lot of tea. So yeah, what's Eska up to then?
Okay, before I leave the whilst people were perusing the tool shop,
Yes.
did they do any instruments?
Make a perception check.
At some point, Sylvaris was also going to look for instruments.
Okay. So as you're just
15.
looking at the crossbow and getting your little bolt case, you look up and just sort of check where everyone else is, and you see Aska walking towards a booth, which appears to have a variety of instruments at it, in fact. So you do not need to look, because she did all the looking for you. And there is actually... it's not too hard to find, mainly because there is a... Sort of next to it, there is a full-size piano that is set up there.
I'll take it.
Okay, that'll be... yeah, 500 gold.
I'll leave that.
Okay.
I'll buy
Plus
it
you have
and
to pay for
say,
shipping.
and I'll push it towards Sylvaris, and I'll say, maybe you won't have to get so close now.
But yeah, there is a full-size piano there, in addition to pretty much every other instrument you can imagine. There's a lot available here.
So, originally, well, here's what I'm wondering about. I'm kind of wondering about effectively hunting horns.
Okay.
So I'm not looking for something that's necessarily musical so much as a nice, like literal, Boromir style horn.
Yes.
Exactly.
One of those. I see. Yeah, there's hunting style horns. There's a couple of them. Look like they are made from literal horns from different creatures. Make a nature check.
It's gonna be a 7.
Okay. One of them you recognize as probably being a Rothe horn.
I'm assuming that's pretty
that's-
big.
It's pretty big. I mean, it's probably not the whole horn.
Okay. Maybe.
But
the tip.
it's, there's a I'm gonna try and power past that. There's actually a Rothe hanging out over on the raw material side, just sort of hanging out, and you can see it's probably maybe half of the size of the full horn there. That's obviously been cleaned and polished and hollowed out and so on. The other one you don't immediately recognize what creature that would have come from.
I mean, I'm probably gonna lean towards the smaller, sleeker one, whichever that is.
Okay. So that is the Rothe one.
Okay. How long would it
the
be?
other one is bigger. It's curve length is about a foot.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. And it's not too wide because it is just the end of the horn, right?
Right. Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
I want something that's not going to kind
probably-
of bulk me out too much.
yeah. It's probably about 4 to 5 inches at the sort of the wider end.
Okay.
And
yeah.
there's a female deep gnome there who introduces herself and says, "Hello, I am Tippleto.
Eska.
Nice to meet you. I heard a little bit about your exploits. Thank you, by the way. I see you're interested in the Rothe horn there.
Yes. How much?
Now you
medicine? Oh, sorry.
just want to make sure you understand this is mostly one note. Unless you have good lung control, you can with good lung control you could get several notes out of it.
Can I give
just
it a
from-
quick blast?
One moment, and she reaches down and comes out with a little cloth and just wipes the end off. Says, "Okay." Performance check.
Oh boy. I don't know why I thought it'd be anything else, really. 22.
Constitution check.
Nice.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Let's do Constitution as well. Let's combine.
I mean, I got a 22 there, though.
I know.
For how long?
Yeah, right.
12.
it's good enough. So you, I mean, this isn't really duration so much as like the quality of your lung control is being measured here by your constitution.
Yeah.
So you give it a little toot, and you get you get a pretty solid, like, I mean, you can basically, once you just get a brief feel for it, and you kind of start, you realize that you can, just by changing like the intensity of your diaphragm in your lungs, you can change the sound. So you can pretty much do what you want to do with it, as far as, you know, melody, or maybe not melody so much, but like, you know,
I attempt for release.
you do the first two notes over and over again.
Do
no,
a flurry of arrows hit him in the chest, or hit Ersk in the chest now?
Hold on.
At least
Let me
3.
see.
Silvarius tests out his new crossbow.
No, but
looks like 3
Gondor does
hits.
come for aid.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't need to worry about Silvarius testing out the crossbow. We all know that's not going anywhere near me. Yeah, no,
yeah.
I pretty much what I attempt, and what I will probably would usually go for, is just a long single note that just rises slightly at the end. You know, kind of a alert noise.
And how would you imagine that sounds?
Kind of a
Okay. Everyone, please make a note of what the alert noise is.
Are we being made aware of this, or is she just...
I mean, you heard it.
Well, yeah, we heard it, but has she told us, or is she making hand signals?
You know, I might actually
yeah.
practice this away from the, you know, like the middle of a market, and see if I can get a couple of different things out of it, so I can do different signals.
Okay. You can put that on you to do this for later.
Yeah.
So
That
Timoteo
said,
says,
I need to know how much it is.
yeah. So it's this one is 3 gold.
Aha! That's in my price range. Yes, I'll take it.
Can I interest you in something more melodic too? I quite enjoy doing other things, and she sort of points to various different things, and she's got like a set of, well, there's like a big sack with a bunch of pipes coming off it. There's a wildly curving brass instrument of some sort. There's a series of pipes stuck together. Couple of different stringed instruments, and then one fairly simple looking pipe with a reed at the top. And she says, if you are concerned about price, perhaps this one, points down to the shawm. Still not sure if that's how you pronounce that. Shawm.
That's how I'd pronounce it, if that helps.
Shawm. That's there. So it's basically just like a pipe with a wide what'd you call that?
Oh man.
The bit at the bottom.
Yeah. I was just thinking, if it was a magic item and it could sort of like raise a you know, its spell was to raise a zombie, it could be a Shawm of the Dead, which would be pretty nifty. Somebody needs to make that.
Hold on, let's see. It's probably happened.
That's
I'm gonna have
brilliant.
to tell it that I want Shawm and not Sean. Yes, someone has already done that for sure.
Ah, rats. It's almost worth trying to find an enchanter to make it happen, but if somebody's already done it...
Oh, I don't think, actually, looking at it, I don't think it was a...
It wasn't D&D related.
It's not D&D.
Just somebody in real
Don't
life
think.
making something that raises zombies.
Still want Sean.
Way ahead of the game.
Okay, well, maybe Shaun of the Dead will turn up later. That's too good. But she says, this is just a couple of gold, and it's a bit more diverse than the instrument you have there, as you can tell it. There's not a lot you can do with that.
If I'm being honest, I had wondered about something to just play, you know, for fun, but I'm a little light on gold. How would you feel about sort of doing both for 4?
Roll a persuasion check.
It's gonna be natural 20. for a 24.
She just sort of like smiles at you and says, "You know what? You have kind eyes. 4 gold."
What? So this shawm, what color is it? I mean, I assume it's wood, but what kind of wood? Sort of
Make another nature check.
natural 1 for a 4.
You do not know.
Okay. Oh, so I don't know if my I don't know what it is, but is it light wood or dark wood, or medium wood?
It's dark.
Okay. I'll have to ask
a
an
little
expert
grainy
at some
looking.
point.
It's almost gray tone.
As I see Silvarius wandering up behind me, I say, "Oh, look, Silvarius. What kind of wood is that? I've literally never seen that kind of wood before, despite living in the woods most of my life."
He looks at you inquisitively. Says,
Are you playing some sort of game?
No, I I know it sounds silly, but maybe it's some sort of draconian wood that maybe it's from your homeland. Maybe it's just so dark in
And
here,
he
and that beat has really thrown
takes
me
a
off.
look at it.
Make a nature check.
And he is it really dark in here?
No, it's not dark in here. There's a drift globe above the center of the market that puts out pretty bright. It's actually unlike most of the area, which is sort of like the octarine shades of green and purple. It's actually pretty sort of normalish, like almost daylight in here.
Ken.
You don't recognize this either. It doesn't look like any wood you know.
I can tell you it's not draconian.
Okay.
What I can't tell you is what it is.
And he
I mean,
hands it back.
You can see why I asked now. Anyway, sorry. Thank you for your assistance.
You're very welcome.
Not you, Silvarius. Yeah, thank you. I mean, you as well, Silvarius. Anyway, and she kind of backs off.
And Tippletoe looks up and says, "And can I help you?"
I'm curious. Looking for a lyre.
Oh, we're very truthful here.
The musical sort.
And she just chuckles and says, "I know, I just like jokes in common. Okay, so let me see what I have here. You don't see one immediately on the table in front of you. I may have one out back. Hold on." And she sort of disappears, and you see that so like there's a booth that she has there, but then there's a cart like sort of 20 feet back that she wanders off to. Eventually, she comes back with a couple of different lyres. One slightly smaller and appears to be made of a similar sort of wood as the shawm. The other one, a little larger and appears to be made out of brass. She said, "Yes, I was able to find these two. Do they seem to fit what you're looking for?" And style-wise, they're very similar. Like the shape is similar, sort of like a stylized U shape. Neither of them have a stand at the bottom. They're very much intended to just be held by whoever's playing them.
Roughly what size? Or like slightly smaller, and the wooden one.
So it's probably about what is that, like 15 inches across, and then the brass one would be like 18 inches across.
And he kind of like grabs one and picks it up and rubs the thumb across it, like just getting a feel for it. Grabs the other one, does the same, and looks back to Tippletoe and
We are often adventuring. One with a bit more durability would probably suit me better.
Well,
I'm not familiar with this wood.
it is actually from the larger mushrooms that grow in the mushroom farms.
did Eska walk away, by the way? Is she still looming about?
She's
glancing about.
I'm looming.
She's looming. So yeah, you would hear that too. And she says, "Yeah, the mushroom stalks get very hard when the mushrooms grow large. So it can be used like wood, but it is more delicate. The brass would certainly be able to withstand a little bit more, though I don't suggest sitting on it, for instance, would be bad.
Picks the brass one up, and the brass one was, you said, kind of semi-large.
Yeah, it's about 18 inches across, and sort of like 20, 21 inches tall. So I mean, it's decent size, but I mean, easy enough to sort of like put it like attach it to like a strap on your pack or something like that, and it would be out of the way at least.
Is there a case for this? An adventurer's case, perhaps?
I do not have a specific case for that, but we do have over there, and she points to the store you saw earlier with the sort of assortment of chests and cases and bags and so on. Maybe they will have something that would work for it. Not, it won't be a snug fit, but maybe you can find something at least temporarily until you could maybe have something created specifically for it.
And how much for this?
This one, because it is the brass one, is actually 40 gold pieces.
Savaris kind of stares at her.
And you are aware we are the ones who saved this town, are you not?
I don't know if that's persuasion or intimidation. You may roll whichever one you feel most appropriate.
Persuasion.
Yeah.
This is just a friendly reminder. 7.
Oh, of course. How silly of me. I meant 38 gold.
His facial expression didn't change much, but he digs into his gold pouch and puts down 3 platinum. Or 4 platinum, sorry.
And she quickly gives you a couple of gold. Says, yeah, if you go speak to Verna. She can help you out. And she points over, and it's actually a halfling over there, who's, you can barely make out their curly hair in amongst all of the luggage and stuff.
Before he heads off that way, he just kind of like runs his fingers across it just to check for the sound. Not trying to play it yet, but
it sounds perfectly in tune. The note is like it's, or the tone, I suppose, is warm. It stands out pretty well against the constant beat that goes on around you. Carries nicely, even though just playing quietly, you can still hear it easily. So that's nice.
he kind of smiles at that, and he just like turns his face back to Tippletoe, and he says, just
Compliments on the construction quality.
Thank you.
makes his way over to the adventurer's box store.
Okay.
Verna.
Yes. Yeah, you see a slightly dumpy halfling with curly brown hair. Hello? How are you?
Doing fine.
Lovely. What can I help you with?
He's still holding the lyre, and he just kind of,
I need something to carry this in. Was recommended by Tippletoe to you.
Oh, right. That's a shame. I was hoping she'd have something for that.
Will not have to meet its exact size. A bit larger. That which I could store more in it.
Right.
Not opposed.
Okay, but that's good because it wouldn't fit in something smaller. All right, hold on a minute. Let's see. Probably don't it deeper necessarily. Just a bit of extra room on the sides, I suppose, right?
Oh, close to that.
Right. And she starts rummaging through. No, that's too wide enough. Ooh, well, this could work. And then she pulls out a a dark, what you recognize as mushroom wood again. And it's a case that is just looking at it, you'd say maybe a couple of feet by maybe 2.5 feet, so definitely bigger than you need. It's only a few inches deep, so it's that's probably the best thing about it is that it's not too wide, so you feel like you could probably fit it in pretty well.
Through doorway.
Yeah, well, yeah, especially because it's nice and narrow for that, but also you wouldn't have too much like wiggle room. The lyre itself would fit in pretty well, in terms of the sort of the depth of it. It says, so yeah, this normally be used for transporting artwork. So it actually is slightly padded on the inside too. That might do nicely actually. Then you can see we've got nice brass hinges, and because it is designed to be for artwork, it's just one end of it is hinged, and so it sort of like slides into a large pocket essentially. And she said, yeah, so you could it'd slide in there, and you might still want to put just like some extra rags just to protect it from hitting too hard against the edges. But I reckon that would. You could fit a couple of other bits and pieces in there too, I suppose. A little bit tricky getting some of them out, but yeah, if you're interested in that, it's only this one's just 8 gold.
8 gold for a case.
Well, I mean, it's a finely worked chest, yes.
He looks at the lyre and
Very well.
he hands her 8 gold.
Okay.
Does it have or happen to have some sort of like a sling case on it where you can kind of like sling it over his shoulder or his back?
Yes. Yeah. There's like a, because it's so there's a handle on the top of it, but then there's also a strap that you could sling over your shoulder for sure. Cassette, I think you were wandering over to.
Yeah, she's gonna look for inks.
Inks. That's right. That was with Riddle, I think.
Riddle Pop, yeah, something. That's what I wrote.
Yeah. Okay. So you see, yes, a friendly rock gnome face sort of greets you and says, "Hello." Nope, that's not the right voice.
Big summer blowout.
Exactly. Yoo-hoo! That's Snorri Bjornsson. Or is it Bjorn Snorrisson? I don't remember anymore. It's a good thing I write some things down. Oh, hello. How can I help you?
I was sent your way, and she's kind of still holding the calligraphy set in her hand. I was sent your way for some inks.
Oh, yes, we have inks. Not a problem. What sort of colors are you looking for?
I don't really know. What do you have available?
And she sort of produces this little crate and opens it up, and inside you see there's about 20 different sort of inkwells. Let's say 5 of them look like they're probably black, or they could just be something very dark. And then there's sort of dark blue, like a royal blue. There's dark greens, light greens, reds, browns. Well, we have pretty much everything color-wise that you could want to write with. My personal favorite, if I may say so, is this one. And she points, and it is like she holds it up, and in the daylight, as it kind of like swirls in front of you, it sort of shifts between the green and purple, like the light that you see in here. And she said, I just really like this one because it reminds me of home. When you write, the ink, once it is dry, depending on how you tilt the paper and how the light hits the ink, it actually shifts, much like the light in here.
Very cool. So she'll pick out that one, and I guess I don't know if it matters, but she's more interested in like getting more like smaller amounts of more, like not big, big jars, more kind of just a sampling of so she has a little bit more options. But maybe that, like a dark crimson,
Mhm.
a like just a kind of standard black. Are there any that look like maybe magical or anything like that? These are all pretty standard. And other than being fancy, there's nothing like
Yeah, these look like just nice inks. You don't immediately see anything that looks like it's fancy. I mean, you can ask, obviously, but nothing
Is there
here.
any gold or silver?
She said, I don't have any in here, but I might have. I think I have one in. And she just puts that down and goes over and grabs. And this one. So those ones were sort of like larger wells of maybe sort of like 2 to 3 ounces of liquid in each. That are sort of like that's the bulk packaging basically for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then she brings out a smaller set. And these ones you would guess they're maybe half an ounce at most. And she does, she sort of filters through. And you see some of the same colors that she had in the other one. She's like, here we go. I do have this one. Is gold flecks. Now, to be clear, this is actual gold in here. We were able to, you know, turn it into such small pieces that it is gold. And again, she holds it up, and you see it glistening, and it really kind of looks like liquid gold. So this one is pricier than the other inks because it is actual gold in there.
Of course. No, that's perfect.
So yeah.
Any other like colors in there? I'm trying to think of what. So like probably like a purple, a dark red, a black, the gold, maybe like a blue and a green.
Okay.
So,
And how much you want of each?
So maybe a big pack of the black, but then all the rest of them as the smaller ones.
Okay. So
how much are the regulars, the jumbo size ones?
The full size, like the full ounce, is she starts sort of like getting. She says so. Normally we sell especially things like the black. You would get in a 1 ounce bottle. That would be 10 gold. For the half ounce, that would be 6 gold. Except for the gold itself, that one would be 20 gold, even for the half ounce.
Her eyes get big as she's doing math.
I could do it all for 50 gold.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Just we make sure the stoppers are actually they is a cork that you push in. Just make sure you push it in good, otherwise ink everywhere. But it's the corks come with it. They are designed to fit very tight. Okay, but you have to push. Now don't push too hard, of course, because that would also be bad.
She's like very carefully arranging them. And
Because
does she have
ink everywhere?
Does she have wax for seals as well?
Oh yeah.
I forgot to ask.
And yeah, that's just on the table in front. You can see there's a couple of types of wax, different colors. So sort of like classic red. There's a lot of like red wax that you could get, but there's also some green, blue, and black available as well.
How much is that?
How many you're looking to buy? And I mean, you would know just from your background, like one sort of stick of wax.
Yeah.
Sure, we'll call it a stick of wax. That doesn't sound right, but one stick of wax would cover a decent number of letters.
Like that crayon size thing that they come in.
Yeah.
Most like, yeah, okay. So I guess, yeah, because you can't get smaller than that probably. So,
Right.
Yeah, maybe one of each color of those.
She says, you can just add that. That's fine. No worry.
Perfect. Thank you. And she looks around. Does she have anything else other than that stuff? I forget what else she was selling.
She has a lot of sort of stationery type stuff. So there are quills. There's some different types of paper. Some of it looks very sort of scrappy. Some of it looks really kind of nice.
Yeah, I think the kit came with some parchment, like the calligraphy kit. She may buy like a couple, like just single sheets of like a really nice paper, like maybe 2 or 3. Like,
Essentially, you kind of negotiate at the end, and she's still happy to call that all part of the 50.
oh, okay, perfect. Well, thank you. I think that's all I need for now.
Okay, you're very welcome. Claire, what have you been doing since hugging your chest?
She actually has a small list of things. Claire does want to visit the little tankard stall. And then otherwise after that she would like to look for a book vendor and then a snack stall.
Okay.
Was Heroes and Villains, was that a franchise by chance? That would really hit the spot.
So you see another rock gnome who is standing at the sort of the drinkware stall, essentially. Greet you as you come over, and both of you are sort of having to peer a bit over the actual booth. Now I can see you better. Hello, I am Squig. How can I help you?
Hi. I'm actually looking for a tankard. And I was wondering if you had anything that was maybe unique to Badger Down? Like something you wouldn't find anywhere else.
Oh, okay. Let me see what we have. I mean, tankards I have plenty of. And there's a decent display of tankards. Unique to Badger. I mean, these were all crafted here. Oh, unless you mean you want one of these. And he kind of gives you a little wink and reaches under and pulls one out. And it literally is it's a sort of metal tankard. And engraved on it, it just says Badger Down on it.
Her eyes light up and she just kind of claps her hands together and goes, "Oh, that would be perfect."
Yep. I should have realized as soon as you came here that you were looking for those. How many do you need? He
2.
starts reaching down. Ha! I knew I was right to get these made. You know, people said to me, they said, Squig, we all live here. Why would we need a thing that says the place that we live? I said, are you not proud to live here in Badger Town? And they said, Squig, we all know where we live. I said, no. We do, yes, but what about the people from out of town? They all know where we live too. It's like, yes, but sometimes it's nice to be reminded of the place where you were before. And so I said to myself, Squig, just get some of those useless pewter ones that no one wants to buy, write something on it. Someone will want to buy it. And of course, by useless pewter, I mean very finest quality pewter. Good make, good design, you know, simple, rugged. Let's say 2 silver each.
Oh, I'm sure they're fine. I haven't seen anything down here that's not absolutely wonderful. And she happily hands over silver.
Out of curiosity, where you are from, do they do this with the name on it?
No. But it's just, you see, we're adventuring and it's been hectic, and I don't know, I just thought I'd like something that will remind me of where we've been.
Okay. Well, no, this is good for this. Maybe. So where are you from? I could make you one that says that on it too.
Oh, I'm from Mistdale.
Mistdale. Oh, you know, there's another dwarf here in town. From that area, I think, somewhere near the forest, anyway. Big sort of salt pepper beard. There's not many dwarfs here, so easy to find, I think.
She looks slightly surprised and thoughtful, but she doesn't really react to it too much.
Anyway, if you want, I can make you one that says Mistdale on it. Or perhaps you just take the idea back to people in Mistdale. Maybe someone there wants to make it that says, you know, the Mistdale tankard or whatever.
She just kind of looks a little distracted, and her gaze is kind of a little going through him, and she just goes, no, thank you. I'll just take these two.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. If you need any more beverage containers, you know where to find me. And where to next?
She wanted to look for a bookstall.
Looking around, you actually don't see a bookstore. There's a couple of people who sort of have a bit of this, bit of that as well, but you don't really see any books around. Seems like it's not something they really do much trade in, unfortunately.
She looks a little sad, and then looks around for snacks to make herself feel better.
Snacks you do find, and so on the in the middle of the south, like the raw material crescent, essentially. There's a couple of booths next to each other, one of which has a nice, there's like a smoker type setup. Like you can see a large drum, like a large metal drum with smoke pouring out of it. That's just sort of drifting up and collecting with all the other smoke. And the smell, as you get closer, is kind of intoxicating. A bit behind, sort of working there, you see a forest gnome and a deep gnome. The deep gnome, you don't recognize. Bardor and Eska, you would actually recognize the Swiftneblin as Urki, the barkeep from the night before. The forest gnome, they have like long wavy red hair that's sort of just tied up loosely into a sort of a vague ponytail type thing, just mostly to keep it out of their face, and a very heavily stained apron on. Looks like all sorts of grease and various other things have ended up on this apron. Urki is currently dealing with a couple other folks, getting them some drinks. But the forest gnome sort of smiles, and as you approach, Clarence says, "Hello, how can I help?"
She still looks a little like her head is in somewhere else a little bit, and when they speak to her, it kind of just shakes it out of her a little bit. And she just goes, "Oh, sorry. Yes, I've grown quite fond of all the things that you all seem to make out of the mushrooms down here, and I was wondering if you had any other like foods that I could try."
Well, yes, absolutely we do. Are you looking for? Well, no. Let me just make some suggestions. First of all, we're quite fond of our baked goods, and they pull out this looks to be some sort of pastry thing. It's steaming out of a little X in the top of it. It has a thick crust on one end. They say, so this is the rothe steak and mushroom pasty. Was just pulled out of the oven not 10 minutes ago. I would not even bite into it yet. It's probably still too hot. This is nice thick gravy in there that will it will warm you up from the inside out, you know. Then, if are you a fan of pastry?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so we also have some sweet options for you. So let me see. We have this, and bring out it's like little thin layers of flaky pastry with some sort of like thick white sauce in the middle of it. So this we call it's like forget the word a cream cheese water Davian. So it's nice flaky pastry, and you bite into it, and it's very messy. and they sort of gesture down to their apron and say, some of this was from cooking, some of it was from eating. So we have these. We also have this, and it's like, it looks to be like just a mushroom, like a whole mushroom wrapped in pastry, basically. No, don't be confused. This looks like it is perhaps savory, but no. This is a sweet mushroom. Um, they there are many mushrooms that they grow down in the farms, and this one, for some reason, when you cook it, it becomes very sweet, and so we'll wrap it in the pastry. And I like to have one of those after the pasty, but it's up to you. And then we also have Roti Ribs, though. Well, usually we recommend that they are for two, because it's a big rib, and a lot of people here are not so big. And they sort of go over to the smoker and pull out this thing, and it's like almost 2 feet long. And there's just like very dark meat that's just covered in juices and stuff. So this is an option too if you would like that. We had to make special plates, and they pull out like this long, thin plate that's designed for carrying a giant rib. So we have these if you want something like that. Or I could perhaps find something else if this is not ticking the boxes.
No, I think for now I'd just like to take maybe 5 of the sweet mushroom pastries.
Absolutely.
But
Really?
we'll definitely be coming back for some of those ribs, I think. I think I have a friend who might like them.
Okay, sure. We are your Erky has to go tend the bar, but that is, it doesn't do that until like 5 of the evening, because we, to be honest, usually during the day everybody is working, so there's not a lot of need for the bar to be open. But once everyone starts getting off work, then you'll just leave me here to take care of things. But yeah, no problem. So 5 of the mushrooms. Okay. It's 5 silver pieces for the mushrooms.
She gladly hands it over.
I take it you are not from here, correct?
No, we're the I don't like to brag, but I don't know if you've heard of the group that killed the orcs.
Oh, that was you. Okay. I'll be honest with you. When I heard about it a little last night, but I was still preparing a lot of food for this morning. It's hard work being doing all of these pastries. And so I wasn't able to be at the bar when I believe a couple of the people Erky said came in. So yeah, well, thank you. That is fantastic. It has been a bane. We are how you say self-sufficient, but we we can feed ourselves. We have the rotes, we have the mushrooms. But we do like it when the traders come down and they bring us, other vegetables and other meats. That is good for me because then I can make variety, and variety is good. But also, we had stuff piling up because we could not send it out. There are people who rely on us for stuff. So if you have opened the way for us, that is very good.
You mentioned traders, and
Yeah.
I had a curious question. Because you said you worked at the bar, or Erky did.
Yeah.
And the friend that was there last night, she brought back a bottle that it said Honey Hill Ale on it, and I was just curious where it came from, or how it got here.
Oh, the Aniil, I think that was the dwarf who brought it with him. Orsic, I think was his name. He was in the bar last night. I think he's from the area, from what I know. Apparently, when he left home, to come visit, he brought a large cart, and about 3/4 of it was made up of this Honey Hill beer. He said he grew up drinking it. And we just keep it stored down in the cellar where it is nice and cool. He is probably, I think he's working probably today. If you want to talk to him about it, like how he brought it or whatever, probably in the grand workshop, I would imagine. I think that's where he works.
Does the name sound familiar?
Make a history check.
18.
I mean, it's difficult. You think you may have heard of an Orsic before. You're not sure if you've necessarily met an Orsic, but that's possible. But at the very least, maybe someone in the family knew an Orsic, and he was mentioned. But it does ring a bell, but you can't quite place it.
Just kind of nods to the both of them. Thank you. I might look him up later, but thank you for the pastries and have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
And yeah, she'll meander around to every one of the rest of the party and give them a little nudge and pass them a pastry.
Do you tell them what it is, or you just give it to them?
She'll explain.
Okay. Is anyone not going to eat
Which
their
ones
pastry?
did you get? So he sniffs his a couple of times before he takes a bite.
It smells. I mean, it's warm, but it smells sweet, which you did not expect.
Peculiar. A sweet mushroom. Who would have imagined?
Yeah, you chomp down. Tastes good.
It's clever what they can do with the mushrooms down here, isn't it?
I must admit.
Ted is very grateful for the pastry.
I'm gonna wander over to the jewelry stand while nomming away on the food, and look and see if there's anything that's kind of magic-y in nature.
It's sort of like laid out left to right, in terms of quality, essentially. So on the left, you see very basic, like thin, probably silver chain necklaces with little pendants with sort of like rather bland stones, essentially, and like just plain band rings, that sort of thing. As you move over to the right, you can tell, just you have a certain eye for metals and stuff like that, and even gems. You can tell just the quality increases, and therefore probably the price, for that matter. And at the far right, you see what looks to be a very exquisite ring. You see a male rock gnome with just hair going in like 50,000 different directions. Standing behind with there's like a headband, sort of like a leather headband around, and then attached, just sort of near the left eye, there's a series of lenses that can sort of be rotated in place in front of his eye, basically. He says, "Oh, welcome. I am Fraus Bundigals, but Fraus will suffice. What can I help you with today?"
Hi, looking for anything that may have a bit of magic to it, maybe something to help out while we're on our ways adventuring, potentially.
Unfortunately, I do not have anything that is actually imbued with magic, but what I can give you is items that are suitable for magic imbuement. We do not have many enchanters here. What we do is we create the items, and then typically they are sold to enchanters to then do this, but what we have found in the past is that for an item to be worthy of being enchanted, it has to be of certain quality, must be certain purity of metal or of gem for the magic to adhere. So, the finest item that I have here, which would be capable of taking on very powerful enchantment, is this ring. And he points down to a silvery ring with a large, deep blue sapphire in it. And he sort of picks it up gently and swivels one of the lenses in place. Says, "Yeah, this one is quite special. So, the sapphire was taken from the mines. I think it was 15 years ago. It took a long time for them to find this particular sapphire. They have ways of locating good veins to dig here. The gnomes are quite clever. That is how we are able to get so many materials. But the band itself is also, this is a platinum ring. I do not see a lot of platinum around. Even with our miners being as adept as they are. Although, I mean, there is some for sale too, and he sort of gestures vaguely over to the sort of the raw material zone, essentially. But this ring is, I mean, I'm not an enchanter, mind you, but for someone who is capable of enchanting, this could be very powerful indeed. The purity of the platinum is superb. We're able to extract the impurities after many hours of working with the metal. And the gemstone is cut flawlessly. This particular ring is valued at 2,400 gold pieces. I assure you, to the right enchanter, it is worth triple that. Or at least, it will end up being worth triple that, I suppose I should say. Right now, it would be worth exactly what I'm selling it for. But, once, given what they could do to a ring like this, it would be worth a princely sum indeed.
Well, that's interesting. I appreciate that. I'll keep it in mind. I'll pass for now.
Not a problem. Is there anything else that takes your fancy? Maybe you have a lady back home you wish to buy a nice, well, we can go from trinket to heirloom, anywhere in between. Or, perhaps a nice gentleman. I do not wish to make assumptions.
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay, well, you know where we are.
Nah, I do indeed. Thank you.
But we're just offended by jewelers altogether. And
I was thinking this salesman's going to have to make one hell of a roll to pitch to Barger.
Yeah. That's one of those you don't have to roll moments.
Yeah, he keeps talking. I just walk away. I'm just continuing to walk away. I'm just like, I'm done. Thank you.
Alrighty. Anyone got anything else?
So far, I sort of complained about wanting something of the meat variety, and if Claire would have piped up, he would have went to get him some ribs.
Oh, yeah, they have Roti Ribs back there. I thought you actually might like them. I was going to tell you about them.
Roti Ribs.
They're quite big, too. But, I mean, you're awfully big, so I should be just fine.
Consider the beast they come from. I am curious, though, what they do with them here.
And he wanders on over.
Again, it's the forest gnome with their stained apron and stuff. Hello. Can I help you?
Yes, you can. My friend informed me you have Roti Ribs here.
Yes, we do. Certainly. And they go over to the smoker and just sort of like, and you see, when they do this, they put on like these thick, what to you, and you probably you don't need to roll for this one. Looks like maybe dragon scale gloves. to reach in and pull out this this huge, like I said, 2 foot long rib with a good chunk of meat, and your nose just starts twitching as soon as the smoker's opened, because like there's this billow of smoke and smell that comes out of it. And yeah, they hold it up, and you can see like it's just dripping. There's grease, and you can see like seasoning on it and stuff. And yeah, they say yes, it's sort of about this big, and yeah, it looks like this.
There's a tiny little bit of saliva starts to like creep out the side of his mouth, and he quickly wipes it away. He kind of leans close and smells it. Would they prepare it differently down here in Badger Downs? Like,
yeah,
there
it doesn't smell like what you would probably have encountered up in the north. This seems a little spicier, and you assume at this point that there's some sort of spicy mushroom or something that they found. But it definitely like, it as you kind of sniff it, there's a little bit of tickle in the nose that lets you know that there's some heat there.
Well, haven't been disappointed here yet. I'll take 2, please.
And they sort of 2. And this is for you and for your friend as well?
Nay. Yeah, for myself.
Right, okay. Yes, absolutely. When they grab one of the weird long plates and pop a couple of them on there, and that is there's 1 gold for the 2.
I'll put down a gold.
Thank you very much. And there are there's a couple of like little benches and stuff in the middle where, because you can kind of imagine there's a certain element of congregation area here too. So there's some little benches and some tables and stuff, so you can go and perch at one of those if you want.
Yeah, he'll do that. Easier to handle 2 racks of ribs.
Yeah, well, I mean, this isn't even 2 racks of it. This is just 2 ribs.
Yeah, sorry, just ribs. A rack of Roti Ribs would actually be like a truck.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah. So the rest of you kind of see Silvarius walking with this huge plate. I mean, the plate is sort of, just over 2 feet long and about 6 inches wide, and he carries it carefully over to one of these tables in the middle, and I imagine just starts going to town on one of the ribs.
Yeah.
Now, on a scale of 1 to not at all, how dignified would you say he's being here? Uh-oh, there's a roll coming.
Oh, 16.
So relatively restrained.
Yeah, he's there's a little bit of vigor to begin with, and he quickly like composes himself a little. And
yeah, those with better passive probably picked up on the savagery before he got it under control. Yeah,
it's a good cut of meat.
Yeah, they don't skimp you. Like, sometimes you get ribs and it feels like there's just not as much meat on the ribs as there should be. It's like way more bone than rib. This is like there's a good portion of meat either side of the bone, and obviously they are substantial in size anyway. So the fact that they're then well padded out with meat is very satisfying. About
greatly.
About 3/4 of the way through the first one, you feel the heat building. It's not uncomfortable yet, though you feel like you're probably going to need to slurp down some water up by the time you get through the second one, because it's going to have built up pretty substantially by that point. They're not typically eaten in quite that quantity, so the spice levels are sort of intended to be for maybe half a rib. Anyone else have more buying they wish to do?
From what we've seen so far, is there anything we've missed that looks interesting?
You don't get the impression that there's lots of magically imbued items here, with the exception of the goggles that they made. It seems like a lot of what they do here is create stuff that then becomes something else, potentially. Over at one of them.
You mentioned the trap store or something. Nobody went there, right?
Yeah, it was like a survival type place.
Eska probably would wander by there, just to
Okay.
see what they had on offer.
Okay. So behind that one, you see a female rock gnome. She has actually bald head, piercing green eyes that kind of catch you off guard, just because it's such a vibrant shade of green. And she looks at you and says, "Oh, hello. Can I interest you in anything here?" You do see, in addition to a couple of the hunting traps that look, just at first glance, again, there's some sort of mechanical element here in the construction, so that it's not just a simple sort of like a bear trap type thing. Like, because typically you would expect a certain, like there's the pressure plate and whatever, and it just seems like there's more going on.
I would check it out.
Just, oh yeah, this is our specialty. So, the way we have constructed the trap, it so normally, hunting trap, when you set it, snapshot, and then you have a DC check to avoid getting pinned by it, and then it stops you moving, unless you either break the chain that it's attached to, or force open the trap itself. And then each attempt where you try to open it and fail, you take damage, basically. In this case, because of the mechanical elements, so normally it's a DC 13 dex, and you take 1d4 piercing initially, and then it's DC 13 strength to get out, and then 1 piercing each time you fail. This one is DC 15, does 1d6 piercing on the initial sort of damage, and then it's 1d4 every failed attempt to escape. And this is DC 15 dex and strength. And it comes with it's attached to a 5-foot length of chain that can then itself be attached to something else. So it's basically just sort of like
An enhanced.
a super hunting trap. Yeah.
I've been meaning to get a hunting trap, and this one looks rather special.
Yeah, it's the mechanics in it make it snap quick, and then harder to, you cannot force it open as easily. Plus, the teeth there, they have little barbs, so once it is in, it hurts more to get out. I mean, depending on what you're hunting, of course.
Oh,
some things aren't going to attempt to get out; they're just going to be trapped.
Yes.
This one is 10 gold pieces.
10, you say?
Yes, 10.
Hold on just a moment for me.
Okay. I'm not going anywhere.
I picked up this is a bit of a long shot. I picked up a longsword which I've currently had strapped to me, which is not really my style.
Yeah.
Is it all I've got written down is longsword. It's from one of the orcs. It was from the mean orc.
Yeah.
One of the meaner orcs.
Mm-hmm.
It seems kind of sort of unwieldy and a bit brutal.
Yes.
I guess I would see if I could get anything for it. I assume probably not at the hunting store, but I might run over to the weapons store and see.
Yeah, you can do that. He'll give you 8 gold for it.
8 gold?
Yep.
Oh, how convenient. I will do that. I'm gonna notch that off. So I thank him and I run back over to the store and say, I'm running a little low right now, but I do have 9 gold. Would you be willing to part for it for that.
Make a persuasion check.
23.
Tell you what. I'll do it for 9 gold if you play me a little song.
All right.
And
I reach for my horn.
She
And
points to the shawm.
Oh yes, sorry, that makes more sense. And I, never having played one of these before,
Yep.
attempt hot cross buns.
Performance with disadvantage.
Hmm.
7.
Yeah, it sounds pretty much what you'd expect it to sound like, I think.
Like a
For someone
primary school student.
Exactly. With their first recorder. Yeah, I mean, you at least figure out how to make sound from it. And
Can I be honest? This is
she
the
did.
first time I've played it.
Well, you don't say. I suppose I didn't say it had to be a good song. 9 gold it is.
Hooray! Thank you. Do you call this anything specific? Is it sort of or do you just call it a hunting trap?
It's just what we use for hunting, yes. Just a hunting trap.
Okay. I'll think up a name.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, you just call it like an enhanced hunting trap or something like that on your character sheet. Other than that, I think the only thing you haven't really looked into at all was just the raw material section.
I think I'm going to call it Maria.
The hunting trap.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyway, I guess, probably a cursory glance would make sense.
Okay.
Just as walking by, just in case there's anything that we're like, oh, that, or, yeah, I'm like, oh, that would be really useful.
Yeah. So, I mean, you see a lot of iron, unsurprisingly. You also see some copper and bronze, and like in some of it's like the bronze obviously is it's an alloy, so it's already been formed into ingots, whereas a lot of the iron, actually no, the iron's probably in ingot form at this point too. Thinking about it, that makes sense. You do even see some gold bars, silver bars, and there's one store that's a little bit smaller and has almost nothing on it. You take a little glance over there. You realize the reason it has almost nothing on it is because what it does have on it is slightly more unusual. You see 2 ingots, 2 sort of silvery colored ingots, and then 1 sort of dull gray ingot. But that's it. That's literally the only thing that's on display at that particular store. Which
and I don't recognize the
catches your
ingots.
make a nature check.
I've been doing good on these. Oh, there we go. 16.
Okay. The first one you recognize as platinum. The one that's got 2 bars up there right now. The second one reminds you an awful lot of Claire's armor.
What if I was to remember Claire's armor? How would I feel one would describe it?
That's an interesting question. Would you have known what Claire's armor was made of, though?
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't know if you would. But you just know it looks like Claire's armor.
Okay. I guess I would probably tap Bardo on the shoulder and say, Bardo, you're our, building specialist. What'd you make of that?
What?
You would recognize the platinum because it looks very similar to the ring you saw earlier. And you probably know. The other one, sort of the dull gray, looks like it's probably adamantine.
And I'll point to each one and tell Eska what they are.
Is that something that could be useful for us?
Yeah, probably. I mean, gotta be worked, I reckon.
That's true.
I mean, you could just hit someone over the head with it. Improvised weapon.
If only one could
Although
sort of
I do.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, we could. Were you thinking the same thing I was thinking?
Inject it into
It
your
hit-
bones?
I was gonna say hit somebody over the head with it, but
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I got this
certainly.
voice. I got this voice in my head that was telling me these things. I don't know.
Stick it in a sock and twirl it around your head and hit someone.
Yeah.
So Claire has special armor? I mean, does that seem sort of unusual?
Are you talking to?
No, sorry, that was to the DM.
Did I say Claire?
I thought you did.
Yeah, you said Claire.
Oh, I
Yeah.
definitely meant cassette.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh, it all makes sense now.
Yeah.
My bad.
I
Okay.
didn't take good notes. I don't remember.
I was like, yeah. I was like, I
I
didn't.
tried to
I didn't know that.
hack in my
I
brain.
didn't know Claire had super special.
I was a little confused too.
You're welcome, everybody.
Yeah. Oh, revelations. It's that brewery armor.
So
Seems,
adamantine.
that seems pretty fancy. Cassette, what do you think? Should we pick that up to try and, you know, use it for something else? Is that a very valuable resource? I don't know, but it just caught my eye.
It can be very useful. Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming it's rare.
Semlin could do something with it.
Yeah, because he's a he's a master, right?
Certainly, as far as you're aware, he seems to be very good.
Bardo, how much is it? You don't know. Let me go ask the seller.
Yeah, pardon me. How much is this?
And the male rock gnome's just sort of sitting behind on a little stool, and sort of hops up excitedly when people come over, because you notice it doesn't seem to get a lot of traffic. Current market price is 1,000 gold per pound.
How many pounds would one need to do something useful with this?
Depends what you're trying to make.
I mean, what could one make from this that would be, you know, handy out in the field?
Well, so this is a 3-pound ingot that I have here. I do have limited other supplies, but this one is 3 pound. That would make a sword of some sort, perhaps an axe, if worked correctly. Cassette, are you anywhere near, or are you off somewhere at the moment?
Unless it was while she was doing something else, she would go with.
Yeah. And he sort of, he would glance over and see the armor and just be like, "Oh, it would not be enough to make that, unfortunately. You would probably need more like..." He sort of stares a little bit, and it's a little uncomfortable for a second there as this unfamiliar rock gnome's just sort of staring at you, Cassette. Maybe it could be enough. The scales don't look too thick. Now, if you wanted to make something more like, say, full plate mail, you would probably need more like 5 or 6 pounds, maybe even more, depending on the person you're making it for.
And what's the attraction of this metal? What makes it so valuable?
Well, it is amazingly good at absorbing blows. In the case of armor, such as this, but when put into a weapon, it can be very potent when it strikes. It is it's not common, obviously. That is part of the thing, and this was this took a long time to accumulate as much as you even see here. This one bar, but yes, it would. When you hit, it is likely to do more more damage than, say, a steel weapon of the same type.
Does because it's cassette that has it, right? The armor.
Yeah.
Do we know if the properties of that armor are also magical, or is that purely the effect of adamantine?
I don't think you know that.
Okay.
Because you haven't, I mean, without having a wizard or a smith in the party necessarily, I don't think if you would be able to tell that.
Does
And I
this,
wouldn't have any
where
extra
that's coming
knowledge from wearing it, right?
No, you know what it does, but I don't think you know how it does it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I asked the vendor, does this metal lend itself better? I know I overheard that some materials lend themselves to being enchanted better than others. Is this one such, or is it just amazing in its own right?
It is. It has innate qualities. We do on rare occasions. It has been sold to enchanters, and I can only imagine what they're capable of doing with it.
Hmm.
But I would think if you were to create something and then enchant it later, it would be yes, potent indeed.
I will certainly. So this bar would be 3,000 gold.
Correct.
I know that this particular set of armor is is rusted up and looks bad. That's not adamantine. That's just this particular set, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
The the color of the metal is similar in both. It's just like on the edges of your armor, it has that weird rustiness and like little bits seem to flake off, although it never seems to get less. It just looks kind of shabby, basically.
So yeah, I just thank them and say that we will certainly keep it in mind for the future.
Okay. Now, bear in mind, next time you come, it could have bigger bar, smaller bar, no bar. There's just the nature of the beast,
To that point, whenever we leave, I am going to attempt to double back. I'm going to try and find a point to slip away. I don't know what we're doing next or where we might be going.
Okay.
But I'm
I'll
going to try
keep
and
that in
find
mind.
a way to get back to the market.
So, you sort of converge back towards Silvarius, who's finishing up the second rib. There's a little bit, eyes look a little bit moist. Nostrils are kind of flared out a little bit as the heat from the two giant Roti Ribs has taken effect.
Some mild open mouth breathing.
Yeah. But
See
I mean,
him
it's a good pain.
picking like a chicken. Is he picking it like a chicken? It's just. Eh.
The only way to get that last bit off
Yeah.
the bone.
There's some grease just slipping down out of the corner of the mouth. He hasn't got to the point where he's cleaned himself up yet, and this is with him eating well. But yeah, so he is done eating. So yeah, you can consider what you want to do next.
To everybody, all done.
I think so.
So far, he pulls out like a large handkerchief thing and wipes the grease off the side of his mouth. Stands up.
I'm finished here. Our next stop, were we not going to meet with the local guards? Or did we have other matters to attend to prior?
And this would be around lunchtime-ish, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's probably been a couple of hours of perusing and haggling and Silvarius eating.
I know we've got a lot of stuff going on, but it might not be the best idea to leave halfway through the day. It's we've experienced the Underdark, and so we should probably be pretty prepared for it and have a good day to set out, so we don't have to be out there longer than we need to be.
And there's other things we haven't seen yet either. There's the mushroom forest, and maybe we could take a peek at the central forge And she looks a little shifty-eyed when she says that.
Perhaps there is reason enough to stay one more day.
One more day and that's it. If they don't come up with anything by that time, perhaps we can just find a way to get in touch with them later. See if they've come up with anything. There must be people who can communicate over distance. There's so much to do. We've got to check on the Quipper. We've got to go to Drakesburg. We've got to make sure that the topside is still there.
Close your deal with Rolliver.
We've got to check back in with Rolliver and get paid.
I wish to be careful with him in the future. Still unsure that I trust him.
I mean, Esker, of course, is just saying all of that stuff just to get out of here. Mostly.
So where to right now?
I suppose we go to the guards. That drow. Curious about him. He was rather unique.
Yeah, definitely seemed to be. I'd still say keep my eye on him.
Oh, of course.
Okay. So you start heading up towards the guardhouse. Eska, make a stealth roll.
You know what? I think knowing that this is going to be a situation where we're all like, it's not like we're going off to separate places.
Mhm.
I think she would probably just say, "Oh, I forgot there was something else I was going to grab at the market, but I don't want to put us behind, and guards are more your thing, Sylvarius. So I will catch up with you guys in a moment."
Do what you will. You know where to find us.
Yes, I'll meet you at the guardhouse. Because I think even if I did slip away, there's so few of us, and we're kind of focused that it would be very hard to not have them go searching.
No problem.
She was just here, I swear.
All right, so Eska unsubtly slips away, and the rest of the four of you head towards the large, I think, a 3-story guardhouse. You can see the large clock tower, sort of tower, pillar, I suppose. It has the clock on it. Shows it's about 1 o'clock now. And as you approach, you see out in front the same drow that you saw before, ice blue dreadlocks, swishing around a bit as he's walking a couple of the gnome guards through some drills, working on footwork, that sort of thing. As you approach, and you just sort of hear as you get closer. So it's important to stay on the balls of your feet. You got to be nimble. If you rock back too much, you can't move quickly enough, and that's when you get stabbed in the back or in the front or in the side. It doesn't matter. It's all going to hurt. And trust me, I've been stabbed a few times. And then he just sort of catches you out of the corner of his eye and goes, "Oh, hey guys!" Gives you a big exaggerated wave. And all right, you just work on your footsteps for a second. I got to go talk to these folks. Half jogs over, and he says, "Hi, how's it going?"
Fairly well. Just finished in the market. Good food, surprisingly.
Oh yeah, no, they do a great job considering what a limited supply of stuff they have available. Yeah, they do a great job.
Especially the mushrooms. Most intrigued by them.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I mean, even I was a little surprised by how much they could do with them. I kind of grew up in something like this, and yeah, I don't know. It's like I don't know if they're doing different things and like crossbreeding them or what, but it's crazy. They're just there's so many varieties, and the sweet mushroom that caught me out the first time, and the spicy mushrooms they have, and yeah, it's crazy. I think sometimes they do like mushroom steak. It's weird, but it works.
And what was your name again?
It's Tebrin Denith.
Hebron.
Yeah.
How'd you get in this situation?
Well, so I kind of got. It's a little embarrassing, to be honest. I got lost in the Underdark, which really shouldn't happen to me, but it did.
Silvarius laughs out loud to that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, I was traveling under. I was all the way over near like Waterdeep and Baldur's Gate area, and I had some companions I was with, and then so I got on this boat, and then I found this boat. Anyway, it's a long story. Anyway, so you ever read those books where like there's like a fork in the river, and you go one way, and that's the way you're supposed to go, and that takes you to what you're supposed to do, and then the adventure always ends up going down the wrong one? Well, that's what happened. And so I was on this underground river, and I didn't know it was the wrong one. At least not for the first couple of days, because I didn't know how far I was supposed to be to the next area. And anyway, point is, I somehow ended up not too far away from the mushroom farms. Unsurprisingly, they were a little bit nervous when they saw a drow walking up near the mushroom farms. They thought I might be the start of an invasion, which I'm not, by the way. It's just me. I had to convince them that I'm not actually evil, like some of my kin, and I don't support Lolth. And well, look, it took some work, but finally convinced them not to just shoot me. And they let me stay once they realized that I had a good heart and good intentions. And yeah, that was about a month ago, I suppose. And I've been here. I heard what happened to the other guards. They haven't really sent anyone out there in a while, so I've just been trying to help out as best I can. But there was no way just me on my own I could go out there. I'm not experienced enough. You see, he's in quite nice leather armor, has a rapier at one side. You do notice he has some rather odd, sort of like tentacle-like tattoos around his eyes, which is a little unsettling. So yeah, anyway, that's kind of how I got here. A little unconventional, I suppose. But once they decided not to kill me, everything kind of started looking up from there. Yeah. So look, I know we talked the other day. It was just yesterday. About maybe you helping me out. And he just sort of gestures back. With them, because they're so wet behind the ears. I mean, I know I'm not that experienced, but my goodness, some of them haven't even held a sword before.
On that, how experienced are you?
I can hold my own. And he says, I tell you what, let's why don't you come over here and let's figure it out. And he sort of gestures you over, Silvarius, and picks up a couple of wooden swords. And he says, all right, gather around, everyone. And there's like a dozen very young-looking gnomes, mostly Rockens Firschneblins. There's one forest gnome in there as well. And he says, all right, we're going to do a little exhibition for you. So what you're going to see is I'm going to... I don't think I got everyone's names properly. Sorry, you big fella, what's your name again?
I am Silvarius Karutarok.
Righto. This is Silvarius Karutarok. And he's going to be using this sword. And he just throws the wooden sword over to you. And we're just going to do a little demonstration of what we're capable of. Give you some tips on how to fight. That all right with you, big fella?
Sure. And he grabs the wooden sword and kind of does a light little two-swipe flourish.
It is not well balanced. It is not. It doesn't feel good in your hand at all. It is very, very. It's very beneath you, really. Being completely honest. Roll for initiative.
7.
Okay. So you start off about 10 feet apart, give or take. Let's give this a go and see what happens, eh? He just does a little bit of the fancy footwork he was trying to demonstrate previously. And then, before you have a chance to react, Silverius, he just jukes to the side and takes a swing at you. That is a 23 to hit.
That hits.
Okay. You take 1 point of damage, and he sort of hops back and has a little smile on his face. It's your turn. You can swing back.
Well, after the pop hits him and he steps back so far as he lowers his head down and you see the back of his, or he sees the back of his lips kind of curl up, and he moves forward. Real aggressive, strong swing to begin with. A 10 to hit.
Okay. He is able to just duck out of the way, and you kind of swing. You go at him hard, and he kind of uses that to slip away from you, basically, because you have to kind of wind up a bit for it.
Nice. Good work.
And he just looks over at the recruits and says, "Hey, see that? And then I do this." And he takes another swing. Oh my goodness. That is a 24 to hit.
Hits.
For another bludgeoning. Just, sort of like gives you a little jab in the ribs. And he says, "Now, you see, I used his weight against him. And then as he moved forward, I was just able to boop, right in the ribs there."
And then Savarius aggressively steps forward and kind of like tries to feint high and swing towards his midsection. And he's doing this all one-handed still, just in front. A 7 to hit, natural 1.
Sylvie had too much to eat.
Yeah. So he sees you looking like you're going up high, and then you see him kind of just like watch you, and then he like ducks out, and you just swipe through where his stomach should be as he sort of like bent over to duck out of the way. He says, "Now, see, you can't just follow the eye or the arm. You have to follow everything in order to avoid it. And then you can try again and do this." Wow. To be clear, my last 3 rolls have been 17, 19, and now 19 again. So he spins around the back and just jabs you in the back as he swirls around you. See, stay on your feet, stay nimble. That's the way to do it. And I mean, you can see he's not trying to hit you hard at all. He's just like poking you each time, basically.
There's a bit of frustration building on Savarius' face. And he turns around rather violently, and he clasps it in 2 hands, and kind of he swings, but uses the first swing to spin into another one and try to go for a spinning stab towards his midsection. 13 to hit.
So this one, you take this big twirl, and he just gets his sword up in time to block it. And he says, "All right, so that one was a little closer, but you see, I was able to get the sword up and just defend the blow. That's the key. Never stay still for too long. Stay on your feet. Stay nimble." This time, he only gets a 16 to hit.
Did not hit.
So yeah, you're able to just deflect the blow this time. He's like, "Well, okay, look, they can't all be winners. It's all right. Sometimes you come up against a heavily armored foe.
What is his gear made out of again?
He's in leather armor.
Savaris stands up, takes a kind of a breath, and he gets to a wide stance and grabs the sword with 2 hands, and presses forward. Kind of took a little breath to try to calm himself one more time. But he has agitation in his face for sure. A unnatural 20 to hit.
Hey, that hits. Are you holding back? Are you giving him like the full force of the blade?
That one, he's frustrated enough that he went for the full force with the
Okay.
blade.
Give me D4 plus strength.
4.
Okay. And so yeah, you come through like, was it like down swing?
Oh, so he steps forward and he angles his blade in a way where he's kind of projecting, slashing down from the top right, but shifts his shoulder and kind of like swings it back. It's hard to describe, but it's a almost like pivoting while right in the middle of slashing, and goes for the opposite shoulder with the back.
So yeah, he moves to cover what he thought was the intended attack. Doesn't get it right, and you just crack down with like a nice thud onto his shoulder. And he's like, "Oh, cracky! Yikes! All right, so sometimes you get hit." And he sort of shakes it off. And it's like, "It's fine." And then he sort of shakes and goes for another swing. That is a 16 to hit. So again, just cracks against the armor, but no effect. And you can see him looking a little concerned all of a sudden that he'd been hitting you with ease so much, and you see the swagger's kind of gone. His footwork's not as good now. Now don't worry. Again, you don't have to hit every time. You just got a accumulation, you know.
Now, you've shown me fancy footwork. What other tricks do you have?
And Savarius kind of does a 2-swing flourish, and the wooden sword bursts into flames. 18 to hit.
Oh yeah, that hits.
7 bludgeoning plus at least 6.
Okay. So yeah, you swing down and crack him hard. Like that was impactful, to say the least.
He says out to the others, he says,
And not all opponents just have a stick in hand.
As you say that, his eyes flash, and you can see this close up. The rest of you might not be able to see it, but this close up, you see the tattoos around his eyes squirm slightly. He mutters something and just stares at you, and there's a fierceness in his eyes that wasn't there before, as he reaches around and swings towards your ribs. I shouldn't have said something about my rolls. I've literally rolled 10 3 times in a row. So he comes in and hits, but to no effect, and mutters something. Doesn't even address the rest of the group. Just sort of looks bitter.
Savarius is going to... He wants to kind of go for a swing style to get him to block, but when he blocks, I want to like take a punch at him.
Okay. Roll deception.
11.
Okay. He actually sees it coming, but you still can roll to attack. It's just less likely to hit.
14 to hit.
Okay, he is able to just duck out of the way, and I mean just. That's tight. He ducks out of the way a little, still smoldering slightly. Says, "You know, you're right. Sometimes you do have to think of other ways out. I need you to make a wisdom saving throw."
Am I within 10 feet of him? Probably not quite 10 feet.
Yeah, maybe not.
Hold on one second. I have an ability.
You do you?
I do. when you're hit by an attack, because I know that I fail a saving throw at 12. At least
do.
I'm assuming that I do. I would like to try to use Arcane Deflection. So like Savarius's eyes kind of like flash this like kind of blue pulse, and it gives me a +4 on my saving throw.
So, you see again the tentacles start moving. He reaches out a hand. He just kind of points at you, and you start to feel yourself tense up. But you're able to push it away. Right? Okay. So also sometimes they're prepared for some of the things you have up your sleeve. He looks a little panicked.
Yes. Sometimes they are prepared, and the enemy can have a great many tricks.
And he lunges forward and tries to grab him with a shocking grasp.
What's that? That's just an attack roll, isn't it?
19 to hit
He is well grabbed.
for 11 lightning damage.
He does not like that. He's looking uncomfortable at this point. Very uncomfortable. And he says, all right, so I think we've done a pretty good job of demonstrating how combat works, and I think you've learned a lot from this. So, you can go from here and take these lessons. Make a strength saving throw.
18.
Okay. He you can see him. He's trying to figure something out, and he says, trying to distract you. And you see these yellow bolts of energy come out from the ground and try to grab hold of you and pin you down, and you just shrug them off easily. All right, fine. Look, I think you've got my beat. And he just sort of puts his hand up. He says, "Let's just call it a win in your favor, shall we?"
And he kind of like cocks his head back and
You should have known better.
steps forward one time and kind of like in almost like that intimidation, kind of like pushing your body at him a little bit, trying to shake him a little, and then stops and stands up and extends his hand out.
Backed up briefly, but then regains his composure and shakes your hand. And then looks to the 12 guards who are sort of seated around, just like, okay, so I hope you've all learned something very valuable from this. Don't pick on someone stronger than yourself. Hopefully, these guys will stick around for a little bit, and we'll, hopefully, we spend a little bit of time here, and they can share some of their experiences with you, because clearly they know more about fighting in the world than I do. But hopefully, we'll help get you prepared for what might be out there. And he sort of looks over for encouragement. And Claire, you see this in particular. He looks pretty messed up. There's no obvious blood, except for like a little bit out of the corner of his mouth. But like he looks very shook. I mean, 11 lightning damage will do that. He definitely looks unwell at this point.
Yeah, throughout the whole encounter, Claire's face has gone more and more worried as the fight went on. And as soon as they shake hands and step away, she hurriedly kind of walks over to the drow and glares at Silvarius on her way over. And just says, Do you need a bit of healing? I'm so sorry about him. He gets a bit carried away sometimes.
No, it's all right. I kind of did it to myself, but yeah, a little bit of help would be nice.
And she will cast Cure Wounds at a level 2 on him.
12? Yeah.
Yes, 12.
Okay. And you can see as the you feel the energy kind of flow into him. You see him sort of immediately just the quivering sort of stops. Man, he hits like a truck.
I know. He is big and he doesn't Sometimes he just doesn't seem to be able to control his anger.
No,
I'm
no.
so sorry.
It really is
If you-
okay.
If you need anything else.
I mean, you know, I was planning on playing dirty anyway because I wanted to show them that that was okay. You know, like I tried putting a condition on him. I tried holding. The problem was everything was going great up until the point where I started trying to be sneaky. Then everything went wrong. But no, it's all right. The point is, we gave a good show for the guards. It'll cheer them up no end. And then hopefully, you know, if you guys can just sit and talk with them for a little bit, I think they'd appreciate that. And it would, you know, obviously you guys know a little bit about combat, so anything to help would be valuable, I think, given the situation we find ourselves in here.
She nods and just kind of gives him a little pat on the forearm. And then she walks back to the rest of the group, but as she passes Silvarius, she just kind of hisses at him. We are guests in this town. Behave yourself.
He kind of whips his head at her. He says,
I did behave myself.
You started it and you know you did. And she just walks off back towards Cassette and Bardor.
as she's walking off, he just points his hand out to the people, to the troops. He's like,
I was giving them a lesson.
And you actually see that there's a few other folks who have just sort of stopped walking around the town who were watching. No one seemed particularly alarmed. They just enjoyed a good show. Eska,
Mm-hmm.
what were you doing at the market?
She is going to head to the Jeweler's Stone store.
Mhm.
She is going to greet the vendor and say, "Do you buy as well as sell?"
Yes.
And she reaches into her pack and pulls out 11 fist-sized tourmalines and lays them in a row at the front of the table and says, "How much would you give me for these?"
So this is a female rock gnome you hadn't met yet.
Mm-hmm.
Takes one up in turn, turns it over, holds it up to the light, and pulls out a little measuring device for sort of like checking the size and stuff, and even a set of scales, and just goes through each one individually. Best I can do is 280.
I should tell you, these are dragon touched. I believe they could be worth probably 300 apiece. Plucked from the nest of a dragon they were.
Technically persuasion, I suppose. That's right in the lines between persuasion and deception. Ooh.
20.
First of all, I don't think I was clear. When I said 280, I meant 280 platinum for this set. However, they have indeed been from a dragon horde. That does change things a little. I can do 315 platinum.
That sounds like a most reasonable offer. Be careful, it was an electric dragon.
And she kind of eyes you for a second, and then you see her put on a set of dragon scale gloves that you've seen a couple of the vendors using at different times. And they all go into a pouch. And then from a different pouch, she starts counting out. Should you find other good gems, you know where to find me. I can always turn these into something. And we can both make a profit. Yes?
I will certainly bear that in mind. Thank you.
I realized I did not introduce myself. I am Luthra.
Eska.
Very good. I look forward to seeing you again.
Likewise. And then she just swoops over to the ingot seller.
Yes, hello.
Hello. I'm wondering about taking that ingot.
Oh,
How
So
much
soon,
did you say
okay.
it was? 2,500?
Gives you a smile and says, "No, no, no. The price of adamantine is, unfortunate for you, not negotiable. This is something a little more set in stone, or set in metal, I suppose. It is 3,000 for this bar.
3,000 for the saviors of this town?
It is 3,000 for Garglith Gold himself.
Very well. I guess you can sell it to the next person that comes along then. And I
There
will
will be an
let
next person.
I will let the leaders of the city know that what they said was untrue. Good day to you. And she will walk away.
Okay. Alrighty. And with Eska playing hardball, I suppose in fairness, so was Griff. That is where we'll call it for the day.
Woo! We almost made a good impression. So close. Till we beat
Thanks,
somebody
Sylvaris.
up and then pissed the merchant off.
Barter leaning on his bow, not sure who he should root for. It's the dirty drow or Sylvarius.
What option?
Yeah, I know, right? Just like good times.
Suddenly Eska's loaded.
Woo!
We'll see how long that lasts. There may be a return
Could be
visit.
like the next time we get back to town, we're gonna ask about about those jewels, those gems. Are we gonna turn those in?
Yeah, right.
I mean, in fairness, you guys don't technically know what I took.
That's true.
She
Did
did
she?
that, and all you guys weren't really paying attention. You saw that I was like scrabbling through the stuff, but you never really approached me about it. And you guys were off
Okay.
investigating other things, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
outside of my tourmaline money, I'm technically down to 5 coppers again. So I have 315 platinum and 5 coppers.
Yeah.
And that's only because you agreed to do a song.
It's true.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just a shopping episode, though it's nice that Rich finished it off as such.
Yeah. We came full circle.
Yeah, we did. It was like 10 minutes fighting. The rest of it was surround. It's like Eska's over there counting out her platinum in the background. Sylvarius is like lighting wooden sticks on fire and beating people over the head with it.
Yeah. Yep.
Might have lost his cool a little bit.
Thank you very much for listening. Well, that was just Sylvarius doing Sylvarius things there. Pretty standard, really. We'll pick up next time as the Hand of Aegis start thinking about leaving Badger Down. We'll see you next time for more Fables from the Pickled Quipper. Goodbye.